That's the sound of DJ Ves. Eddie Nieves, welcome as the guest of the Say What Again Billy podcast.
What's up? Thank you.
Joey?
Yep.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm all right.
3 people yet again.
3. This is it.
Three's the magic number.
The fucking
We're
tripod.
like a tripod. You kick a
We're on that same.
Yo, you take a leg out, we all fall down. That's the deal.
As long as you didn't say threesome.
So I've known Eddie for a long time.
Yeah, let's not say it low.
But I've known Eddie for a long time. Good friend. Played a lot of softball together. Man.
A lot.
That's how we met, through softball. Sports is it's a key thing to friendships. You know what I mean? And recently he broke my heart because he moved.
Damn. Broke your heart is crazy.
Yeah, man. You know, losing good friends is rough, man. When you got that bond, you get, you know, you're the only one asking me to play softball still. People had, yeah.
All those years.
Yeah, you know, so anyways, then but the interesting fact is when you told me where you were moving, I was like, Arizona. And what was the first thing I said to you?
Stories about Superstition Mountains.
Superstition Mountains. And you know what's crazy is Eddie hit me up. I've been trying to get him on the podcast. You know, he's a DJ, so he's got the voice. He's got the musical talent. And he hit me up. He's like, "Hey, I'm in town." I was like, "Come on the podcast." And sure enough, too.
Well, we've been trying to link up for a minute.
Right.
Then the irony was that was it about 3 weeks ago?
Maybe longer. When you went to there, right?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So I had an event, a wedding, and I actually did not know where I was going because I'm just like, I know, you know, put it in my GPS, who cares? And when I look, I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, I gotta hit Billy up. I'm like, yo, guess where I'm going today?
And I said it.
Yeah, he knew already. And then I sent pictures as I was getting to the place, and I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous as shit.
Superstition Mountains. So I got to give credit where credit's due. I first heard about Superstition Mountains from a popular YouTube page, Paranormal Files, The Paranormal Files. He's got a lot of content. He's a really good YouTube page. And that particular video I came across one day. I didn't know how I came across it, and I watched him interview a trail guide for Superstition Mountains. And this trail guide was telling stories, recent stories.
Is that the guy I think you sent it to me.
I think I sent you that same one, right? And it's the guy with the cowboy kind of like hiking hat, and he's telling this in-depth story. And usually I get bored, like within the first 5 minutes, seeing the same face just speaking. Kind of like people probably get bored with seeing us or hearing us. But anywho, the story was so intriguing because he was telling a recent tale and just some of like the backstory of Superstition Mountains. And it just was something like, I want to talk about this, and you're on board today, and we're going to get into some Superstition Mountains and the whole lore and some of the stories. But before we start that, while you were there, were you close enough to experience anything spooky or supernatural?
Nah, I can't say that I was. At a distance, you can see the mountains, and I sent you those pictures. But there was still a fear. So I don't play the paranormal stuff. Mm-hmm. It freaks me the fuck out, like bad. Like I get nervous when I talk to people and they talk about ghosts and feeling stuff. I'm like, nope. Like, so right away I had this idea of what I was gonna feel or see or even hear about. So I legitimately did not want to talk to anybody about it while I was there.
Right.
Because I didn't want to hear another story.
Self-fulfillment prophecy. You know what I mean? You're already thinking it. You're like, it's going to pop up behind your shoulder. And
yep.
Then you're going to have to change your underwear.
That's it.
Well, and then the video you sent me, the YouTube video, that's what got me. Like, I was legitimately frightened because that's the guy who said he's traveled the whole world, and he said he will never go to Superstition Mountain by himself.
And this is a trail guy, like professional.
Yeah.
Like he knows the outdoors, and he particularly knows Superstition Mountains, but he won't go by himself. First of all, in any desert area, like, you have to be careful because just like in the forest, just like in the rainforest or any place where there is nature, deserts are very dangerous. There's, venomous snakes. You can, dehydrate immediately if you're not hydrated enough, if you don't have water, if you're not packed the right way. If you walk too far and you lose your bearings, very easy to lose your bearings in an open plain, believe it or not. If you keep walking, especially with mountains, the sun's beaming down on you, it's very dangerous, especially at nighttime. You can't see anything. So now you don't have no visual of the floor on what's crawling around next to you, whether it be a scorpion or a venomous snake or even types of lizards that are venomous. You know what I mean? And then you have other animals like coyotes that could be out there. And it's just a dangerous element. Not for nothing too. In deserts at nighttime, they usually typically get cold. I don't know if you're out there. Yeah, they get cold at night. You know that the sun cup dips down and it could be like 100 degrees.
It's a 40-degree difference.
Yeah, and then you get cold. So you're in the heat all day, and your body's just sweating and trying to like keep cool, and then you just have this drop in temperature at nighttime. Now you're profusely sweated, you're dehydrated, now it's cold, and now you're in for a rude awakening. There's no in between. So it's just dangerous all around. Now you bring in the paranormal elements of Superstition Mountains, and it gets real spooky. But
not a hospitable place.
No, it's not. I would take my chances if I had to pick. If like Bear Grylls was in front of me right now, and he was like, "You're gonna come on me with a survival situation. Where do you want to choose? Do you want to choose the rainforest, a tropical island, or like a forest of the Northeast United States, Canada?" I would choose the forest because an island is very scarce with water unless it pours and you collect the rainwater. A desert, you're not going to find water. You have to really make sure like you I don't even know where you would get water from a desert, to be honest with you.
Cactus.
The crazy part is somebody, a hiker, passed away last week. She just went out for a few hours. Missing Wednesday, found Thursday. 600 yards from the main trail.
Yeah. And she probably dehydrated. Yeah. No water.
That's what they're thinking.
Ran out of water. Yeah. It's not good.
So I'm looking here. It says there's a treasure there.
Yes.
An unfound treasure.
We're gonna get right into it. So just so everybody knows, it's just east of Phoenix, Arizona. And if we all know the Phoenix Lights, that happened. It's a very big paranormal story that came to light to be actually true. The mayor lied about the whole event when he went up on stage.
Came out with the big alien head.
Yep. And he lied and he said, you know what? There was something over the sky. So Arizona has the UFO sightings and Superstition Mountains. And of course, I think Arizona, I'm not really good geologically, but pretty close to the area of the Skinwalker. That whole circle, that whole square area of where all the spooky Skinwalker stuff happens. I think that area is all connected. I could be wrong on that. The origin of superstition, first of all, it's east of Arizona, and it's the part of the Tonto National Forest.
Yes.
Okay? And the origin is the Spanish conquistadors named them You're Spanish. You can speak that nice.
Where are we?
Pronounce that.
Supersticiones Montañas.
There we go. There's see.
That's what you've been missing, man.
Yeah, I have to do subtitles now. We needed a Latino. Hola, mi gente. Listen, we needed like someone that could really, Joey's got the Latin blood, but I don't know if the Spanish is there.
It's there. It's okay. It's decent.
Okay, it's decent. But Eddie, the DJ voice came out. Do it again. Ready?
Supersticiones Montañas.
This guy should be on radio.
I felt like I'm watching what was that? The Spanish soap operas. What do we call them?
97.1.
La Mega se pega.
La Mega Mezcla.
God, that was awesome.
The only one I know is Aventura.
Oh,
that's the only one I know.
Early 2000s.
So the terrain there is rugged, red-hued cliffs and jagged peaks, foreboding, especially at dusk, which we just talked about. You don't want to be in the forest and the desert at dusk because it's just as bad as nighttime. And now we're going to get into the Apache lore. Now, Apache is one of the Native American tribes that is very well known. You got the Algonquin, the Apache, the Navajo. Apache and Navajo, those are some of the named ones that people may know in our age bracket. And then you start getting to the other Native American folklores and tribes, and you're like, oh, I don't know these names. But the Apache believed the mountains were sacred and cursed. They warned early settlers the strange happenings occurred there: disappearances, voices in the wind, glowing lights at night. Those glowing lights can be one of two things: UFOs or ghosts, or something else we can talk about in a little bit.
Aliens.
Aliens. Joey's the alien guy.
That's what I'm going with.
You go aliens. You don't like the ghost stuff?
Nah, I'm not playing this ghost shit. They did. I think last week or the week before, it was another UFO sighting. Because there's a UFO Facebook page for Arizona,
right,
where they talk about it. And some of the stuff, they'll say all right, this is obviously not real, whatever. But there's been more stuff again, like popping up more recently. So
really,
that's what I'm going with.
All right, so now we're gonna go right into this the Lost Dutchman gold that Joey brought up. You want to take it, or you?
Oh no, you go for it. This doesn't give me much, but it just says that
I know
people have gone out for this treasure
and never came back.
Not come back.
Yeah,
they don't even find their bodies.
So this is what I want to know, and this is where, like, I feel like the unknown is the scary part.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, is like, is there a list of the people that went, and do we have like a date of like, hey guys, I'm leaving today, and oh, they never came back?
I'm sure that there's records of people that were found, and then their family would have to coincide with their body. Like, yeah, they told me this is what they were doing. They like, they went out on an expedition, and they set out on June 1st, 1993, and they were found June 20th, or parts of them were found. And I also, the horrifying thing is, I remember that trail guide story from that YouTube video saying that they would find beheaded people, skeletons, parts of people. There's a theory that there's lizard people living there.
I saw that.
That's like a big thing, like a type of creature or humanoid creature, that a whole breed, a whole family that no one's ever discovered, living in the Superstition Mountains, which is, you can't traverse all that. That mountain is that mountains are there's so, it's so vast and it's so treacherous. You don't know what's even living inside the cave systems in there. It's got to be cave systems. You know what I mean?
So you're saying we're going on a treasure hunt?
Oh, hell. I'll drop y'all off.
The Outer Banks.
A lot of gold, maybe.
The Outer Banks.
Might be a lot of gold.
The
there.
Outer Banks kids would be crazy enough, and I still have to finish that show, but they would be crazy enough to do that. Me, no, I wouldn't do that. I don't like anything underground. So anytime it's starting to go underground, or I have to get in the air to get there, no, you count me out. At least
remember City Slickers when they were trying to get the gold?
What was that?
Part two?
Yeah, City Slicker and
me. They were in the tunnels and he's singing the fucking song.
I remember that
the song from Godfather.
Wasn't it the guy from part 1 was dead, and then his brother was in part 2? They looked exactly the same. That's just how they brought him back.
Yeah.
That's just like the same actor. It's just they brought it. It's the twin brother. Yeah, I remember that. It was a good movie. But here we go. So the man behind the myth. Okay, Jacob Waltz. He was not Dutch, because they said a lot of Dutch people went to that area. He was actually German, but people often confuse Dutch for Dutch, and the nickname stuck. Jacob Waltz was a real person who immigrated to the United States and made his way west during the 1800s. He spent his later years in Arizona territory and was known as a prospector and a loner. But Waltz didn't live rich. He lived humbly, quietly, until his death in 1891, when everything changed. According to the legend, on his deathbed, Waltz revealed that he had found a secret gold mine, a rich mine hidden somewhere in Superstition Mountains. He allegedly told a woman named Julia Thomas, who had cared for him while he was dying. The rough directions to the mine are vague. Some stories even say that he drew it on a very crude map. What made the story explode? Waltz supposedly had high purity gold ore under his bed when he died. Not the kind that you would find lying around. It was tantalizing proof that the gold was in fact real in Superstition Mountains.
This is exactly like City Slickers.
Didn't the City Slickers movie kind of look like that same terrain?
Come and get me. When he's like slapping the knife against it.
See, now that you brought that movie up, I'm thinking about
where it was. It was probably set somewhere around there, like Arizona, or
film a lot of movies in Utah
or the Grand Canyon.
I think Indiana Jones' Last Crusade, the opening scene was in Utah. So they filmed a lot of scenes in Utah just because of the way the mountains look there.
Yeah,
but all right, so the so-called map passed to Julia Thomas would become the basis for dozens of treasure hunters heading into Superstition Mountain. But the map is cryptic, filled with old symbols, vague references like a face of a sleeping woman, red hills, or even a needle-shaped rocks, which could be pretty much anything in that mountain range.
They literally took, like, City Slickers. I swear to God, there's like they're following. Remember they're going.
Did you watch City Slickers recently?
No. I used this movie. It was on repeat on HBO when we were kids, like over and over and over again. So this is all you used to watch back in the day.
All right.
But the map was the face of a pregnant woman over the buffalo's back. So they were finding all these things in the desert that was leading them to the treasure. So they whoever wrote City Slickers 2 took the premise from this map.
You have a fucking phenomenal memory.
Check this out. So the original City Slickers was filmed in both Colorado and New Mexico.
The original.
So I can see
Part 2.
Let's
The
see.
desert terrain looks very similar.
Actually, part 2 took place in Utah and California.
Yeah, see, they film a lot in Utah just because of the way the mountain ranges look there. It's very the formations of the mountains in Utah look very very unique, and that's why the opening scenes of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yeah, this is probably such a famous story that of course they take it for a movie.
Yeah, well, the story, yes. So the directions were vague. The mine is hidden where the sun hits the mountains only in the early morning. So if you're going to look for the gold, you'd have to do it in the early morning hours. No one could quite figure it out, but that didn't stop the obsession. Now, the Trail of Death, as we spoke about, many people go out hiking and die. And also a lot of people go out and literally die looking for this treasure. Mm-hmm. In 1931, Adolph Ruth, an amateur explorer from Washington, D.C., vanished while searching for the mine. His skull was later found with a bullet hole, and his journal contained the line, Veni, Vidi, Vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. But he didn't conquer anything. His body was never fully recovered. So they found the bullet hole in his head. What did I say before?
Beheadings.
Right? 1947. James A. Cravey parachuted into the mountains with supplies, confident he would find the mine.
And then what?
His decapitated body was found months later. Again, decapitated. Damn. Okay? And then the list goes on. Hikers who vanish without a trace, bodies turning up in strange places, and even some mutilated in ways that remain unexplained. It's not just a misadventure. Locals say there's something sinister in those mountains. Now, here are some of the supernatural warnings. Jetty, you want to put earmuffs on? This is the supernatural part. Shadowy figures, whispers in the canyons, bright orbs of light floating around. Some say that Jacob Walp's ghost guards the mine. Others think it's cursed by the Apache spirits whose sacred land was defied by greed. Now, there's also another story that I heard and read, and this was a while back when I first heard about Superstition Mountains, that when the conquistadors came, they were warning, the Native Americans warned them not to go to the mountains. And then there was a battle that ensued. And they still went to the mountains, supposedly found the gold or got close to it, and something took them out. Not the Native Americans, something else took them out.
What was and this is going back to that YouTube video, about creatures or giants that were scaling the mountain and got frozen in time.
So the Nephilim story is a big thing, and that's like all around the world. And it's been a big thing. I've talked about it, and I don't really buy into the whole giants are still around type thing. However, that the reptilian thing or something sinister being in that mountain range, all these bodies are mutilated. Now, it could be animals, and based off of something I do for a living or where I work, animals can do that to you. And especially when food is scarce, because those animals are looking for food and they're eating lizards and they're eating bugs, and food is just as scarce in the desert.
Big thing in Arizona is you do have mountain lions, coyotes, javelinas.
Javelinas?
Yes.
I have never heard. What is a javelina?
It is an ugly ass pig.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never heard of a javelina.
They travel in packs.
Really? So it's a herd of like wild boar type typically.
Yeah, like that's.
So
Can you Google that?
Trip,
can you Google what a picture is? A javelina?
Yeah.
It sounds like a name.
Javelina.
Javelina. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Really? Have you seen them like just out and about?
No, but they do come to my area. I just never seen them. Like I've been dying. I've driven like late at night. I'll come home late from a gig, and I purposely go to where the mountain is to see if I see them around. I just don't see them.
Javelinas. Let me see what that looks like. Ah, okay. Well, they're not scary looking.
No, they're pretty. So they'll legitimately be about this high.
Oh, so they're big.
They're pretty big, yeah.
Interesting. I don't.
By the way, look what ChatGPT told me. Yes, City Slickers, the legend of the Curly's Gold. Yeah. Curly's Gold is loosely inspired by the lore of Superstition Mountains, particularly the Lost Dutchman
There you go.
There you go, Joey.
I knew it. I was like, I saw this movie. I was like, Billy's talking about a movie that I definitely watched, and it hit me.
Joey's like a big time movie buff.
Yeah,
he will name movies every episode.
Me and Dario will go for hours with the movie stuff. Like we could do like a 5-6 hour podcast talking shit about movies.
We have to get him back on ASAP. Sheesh. I was actually talking. He's in Florida right now. Guy's living the dream.
I saw him in Whole Foods. Got into a conversation about his movie that he's making in Whole Foods.
You know, he said you ran into. How long ago was that? Because last time I texted him, he was in Florida.
Maybe like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. It was a little while ago.
Yeah, so he's in Florida now. But yeah, he's working on a movie. So some of us are going to be on it, which is cool.
That's dope.
Yeah. Yeah.
A little independent thing.
Yeah,
should be fun.
Yeah, I'm playing a bum apparently.
I told him, I said, if he needs the security guy, I got the suit.
I'm being serious. I'm paying. He's like, are you going to be my stand-in for certain scenes? You're going to play like a. I was like, all right, at least I'm
from the Bronx.
That pretty much. I was like, I work.
He's going to make your lips chap, make you look like a crackhead from the Bronx.
Cocaine, yeah, any more of that protein. I worked so hard to drop like 40 pounds just to play a bum. That's my big.
Did on purpose.
You know. At least I'm at. Look, now I fit the part. I look
anorexic. This guy is starving.
Appropriate. So the Superstition Mountains, they find these body parts. There's something going on. Like I said, it could be animals. So I'd like to, what I do, the paranormal investigating, I like to try to debunk before I say, yeah, something's haunted. It could be animals. But then there's this other element that a lot of people going missing over there, and it's purely by their stupidity. You don't go do hiking out there in certain places alone. I went on one hike alone in the last 10 years. And I know how to traverse, and I follow the trail. And when I did get to a point where I was lost, I backtracked, legitimately backtracked, and hit every trail marker until I got back to the parking lot. Then I started taking my friends, because then you're in a group, you can actually come together and think, and you have more resources and things of that nature.
I'm just thinking,
we almost made a big mistake once.
Yeah. So, and when I take anyone hiking with me, I also let them know like the do's and don'ts. Like don't be quiet. Take rocks, hit them together because there's bear. Don't go into tall grass because there's snake. Especially where we go hiking, Harriman State Park. There's legit venomous snakes. There's rattlesnakes, timber rattlesnakes, and other types of snakes out there. And just timber, and I forgot the other type. That's copperheads out there. Not by nature either. Like someone brought them there years ago, and they breeded, and that's how they got there.
Oh no!
Because I was like, there's no way there's venomous snakes in upstate New York like that. And sure as shit, I read up on someone brought snakes there, they breeded, and that's what happened.
No, they're there for good.
Yeah, that's it. So, but there's a lot of do's and don'ts. Don't go.
He's like, I ain't going hiking.
Yeah,
certain plants. Don't go to certain plants. Don't go too far off. So I tell, but you go together, and people that go to the desert to take a hike. That's why that guy, not only because he was spooked out, but you don't go do something like that by yourself. Anything can happen. You twist an ankle in the desert, you are screwed. You are screwed. At least in the forest, you can actually, always in my camping bag or hiking bag, I always had rope, a knife, and some type of fire starter, and a lot of water. And some type of food that's going to last me. Either it's jerky or a bar or something. If you hurt your ankle and you're by yourself in the woods, you can actually crawl to to logs on the floor or trees or something, and you can make something to hoist yourself up, limp, brace your leg, and get out. In the desert, there's no wood. You're screwed. There's rock, it's dirt, it's hot, you're on the floor, and you're going to crawl. The ground's hot. You ever walk on the beach?
Yeah.
In the morning, it's not that bad. You walk barefoot.
Sun's out for a few minutes.
Midday, when you try to get back with those chanclas off, what happens?
It's over.
It's over. It's hot. You know what I mean? So you can't do certain things by yourself. It's not smart to. Now, the story that won me over, that I will just tell in a nutshell for the viewers and listeners, is the hikers said that there was a guy that went, walking not in depth, but he saw a portal open up. Now, this is like a big thing over there because the Native Americans have these folklore, and you can actually see it in their tribal writings all over certain types of Native American areas. Some of them look like circle that they draw. Mm-hmm. And he said, this particular guy, that he saw something open up, and it was like a light. And he threw something through it and didn't come out the other side. It went into this light and completely disappeared. So he went back to the local bar, and he was telling people there, like, hey, this happened, and this is what I did, and I threw a rock through there, and nothing came out. And they thought he was crazy. So then he went back, and the light was still there, and he was doing it. So then he contemplated this plan that he was going to get a live chicken, and he was going to tie a rope to the chicken's foot, and he was going to take the chicken, he was going to throw it through and yank it out so that he could see what happens to the chicken. Like, does the chicken come back out whole? Does it come back cooked? Is it going to come out like Popeye, KFC, or, you know, like Chick-fil-A?
Then he knows not to go in?
Or is he going to pull the rope and the chicken doesn't come out at all? There's nothing. Because he was really contemplating going through that and taking that leap of faith.
Nah.
So he went back, and portal never opened again. But he swore by that story, that this was actually happening. And he's not the first or the last person to say that.
Was this the guy from the YouTube video?
Oh, yes, that was the story that guy told. Yeah. And that when he told that story, I was sold on Superstition Mountains. Started looking into it.
Well, he's also I think he had a ton of views and subscribers and all that.
Well, Paranormal Files, big.
No, but I'm saying that guy,
that particular guy.
Yeah, he was known. Like
he's a I don't know his name. I don't know if Joey would be able to pull that up right away, but he knew what he was talking about. He knew his stuff, and that when he told that story of that particular individual, it stuck on me. And then there's a lot of people that see things in that area. You got Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, and then the Colorado area. There's so much that goes on there. But Arizona already has a history of UFO sightings. And then you go to Superstition Mountains with the Native American. You're like throwing in double whammies. There's no doubt in my mind that Native Americans saw things in the sky. They have the Firebird is something that is like, I mean, all around Native American, like the Firebird. You hear that Native American as a whole in totality, not just tribes, Apache, Algonquin, Navajo. The Navajo have the Skinwalker tradition. The Skinwalker tradition and lore came from the Navajo. That's why they have Navajo Nation in that almost that area over there. It's like a whole radius where they have their own nation untouched by the United States. It's called Navajo Nation. They have their own government, their own policing.
And they have their own DJ too.
Really?
Legit.
Yeah, well, you're close enough now to get all this information. But they have their own stuff, and then the Skinwalker myth or mythology came from the Navajos. But they have this thing called the Firebird, and Native Americans speak of the Firebird as like a whole. And what do you think a Firebird would look like at the time of Native Americans when they were living in the land? Going way back. What do you think a Firebird could be? Yeah. An actual bird with fire, or maybe what? A UFO. And they were seeing things in the sky. They were seeing balls of light open up. And another ongoing theory is that UFOs aren't coming from the sky or space. They're coming from underwater, underground, or they're interdimensional beings or crafts jumping from plane to plane, coming out of what? A portal.
We probably didn't know how to explain it, right? But like it's the Apache people. It says they believed that the mountains were sacred. They speak of an entrance in the mountains that leads to an underworld or spirit realm protected by supernatural beings. Aliens. This wasn't just symbolic for them. It was believed to be an actual place, hidden and dangerous to enter.
What do you got, Eddie? Those fingers are moving.
So I'm looking for that video because I've seen it in my links. But my thing is that, so we're talking about the Superstition Mountains, right? But in Sedona, when you go, they talk about the vortex.
Okay.
Right? That, I can't explain that. Like, I want to go, but I don't want to go. I don't deal with that.
What is that?
So apparently you put something like on a pendulum and you're standing there, and they do guides, they do tours with this. So it'll be 20 people. They'll put a pendulum and it'll just start going in circles on its own, right? Because there's a vortex and some energy stuff. So it's like, that can't just exist there, right? So what's happening everywhere else that we can't get to? Because in Sedona, obviously, they've made it's a tourist spot. But Superstition Mountain, like, that's untouched, essentially. Mm-hmm. So what is it that's in there? And it's like, I feel like the only way to really see it or get to it, you're gonna have like 500, 1,000 people to agree to do this trail, to this walk, and see how many people come back.
I think if you go as a group, it's a different story. I think
you think
like,
it'll shut down?
I don't think things would happen if it's just too many people, too much energy combating the energy there. I don't think things are going to happen. And
unless people's cameras just shut off and that whole group never gets seen again.
Yo, bro.
I'm just saying.
You got to leave the state. The state got to shut down.
Well, that's what's kind of no one can really exactly figure out what happened with the Roanoke, right? Like they said that they packed up and left and just really didn't leave signs. They were trying to escape.
All right, so I don't know if this is the right link, but look what came up. This video has been removed. It was one of the videos you sent me. So I'm curious to see if it's that one.
The paranormal file video with that? No way. That was a good video. There was nothing wrong with it for it to be a community guidelines violation. Had to be something else. Maybe it was another page that stole that video and tried to use it, and then that was the community guidelines violation. If you look up paranormal files, it's a guy that has like this blonde hair. He kind of looks like the Nickelback singer. Okay. And he runs that page, and that's one of his that video was like one of his best videos. It was like over 3, 4, 5 million views just because of that story of Superstition Mountain. And he has other good paranormal stuff. And I came across his page and I watched that video, and then I started following him from that video on.
We have to find it so we can.
I'll link the if I could find it when I'm editing the video, I'll throw the picture of the trail guide up with his name. But that guy knows his stuff, and there's so many stories of Superstition Mountains and just Native American folklore, which also leads me to, I just bought a book recently. It's called Native American Myths, Legends, and Folklore, and a lot of it is based on actual myth and legends. And my dad, and listen, because we're filming at my parents', and I don't sugarcoat that. Everyone needs a place to film. When we go downstairs, there's something that intrigues me about two types of cultures that I'm totally unaffiliated with. The Japanese culture, because I took Japanese martial arts, Okinawan karate. I love the Japanese culture. The law of Bushido, and I'll let you guys know what that is later. But it's like an honor, like living by the blade, and just an honor, a code of how to be a warrior. And there's something about Native American folklore, art, sound, their music that they play with certain fifes and flutes and things like that. And my dad told me many years ago that we have, according to him, Native American blood in us, and he can actually direct you who in the family has it. And I guess if you have a little bit of the blood in you, somehow you have this you like it, so Native American culture and Japanese culture always intrigued me. The Native American culture is a culture that was here obviously before anybody, and it's just true what people say. We came to this land and it was their land. They were here, and they've seen and experienced things that no one else knew about before we came here to this land. So much so too that it still goes on in Navajo Nation, where they actually, this was on an episode of the Unsolved Mysteries, the refurbished version of Unsolved Mysteries. They were talking about Navajo Nation. There was 2 Native American police officers assigned to X-File like cases. Type that in real quick. Navajo police officers assigned to X-File like cases in Navajo Nation. You can get their name. How
recent was this?
96 to maybe 2005, around that time span.
So these are stories from then.
So what happens is, in a nutshell, these 2 police officers were getting calls. Navajo Nation Police Department was getting calls of mysterious things happening, and the cops that worked for Navajo Nation were ignoring them because they sound batshit crazy. And so the captain called these 2 individual cops in. They were veterans, and they were like, you can't ignore 911 calls. Whether it's a call or a call that sounds crazy or not, you have to go respond. He specifically assigned these 2 police officers to these X-File type cases in Navajo Nation. And some of the stuff that they uncovered was, to this day, batshit crazy. They're like, we believe now. From nickels and coins appearing in people's houses out of nowhere, falling, to unexplainable sightings, whispers.
Nope.
Did you get their name?
No, I didn't get their names, but it popped up.
Mm-hmm. Their name should pop up. Can you give me the names of the 2 Navajo police officers that were assigned to unexplained cases in Navajo Nation? It'll come up.
So did they come up with a book, or is this a story?
They have a story. Sergeant Jonathan Rebird, Officer Harrison Yazzie. No, these are the fictional ones. Yes, the Navajo police officers famously known investigating unexplained paranormal cases in the Navajo Nation are Sergeant Jonathan Redbird. No, these are fictional dramatized characters. Okay, here they are. Stanley Milford Jr., former Navajo Nation Ranger who spoke publicly about paranormal cases in the territory, including the interviews and conferences. Jonathan Dover, a retired Navajo Ranger who, along with Milford, investigated strange phenomenon as a part of an unofficial unit. These two are authentic sources and have been featured on platforms like Skinwalker Ranch, Missing 411, and several paranormal documentaries. Those are the two real officers. And I watched that Unsolved Mysteries show about them, and I was like, whoa. And they were also featured on Skinwalker Ranch. They came back on to explain some cave paintings that they found near Skinwalker Ranch. And they when I watch that Unsolved Mysteries when you get a chance. It's like on the season 1. They have crazy stories.
Send me the link. I'm definitely gonna watch it.
It's on Netflix. Unsolved Mysteries.
So, I don't know if you remember. Like, I think it was like 3 years ago, or 2 to 4 years ago. There was that whole thing about in Vegas where there was an officer had his camera on. He saw a beam, a green beam, go down. Another officer responded to that call. And the only reason they believed it was because it was on camera on the first guy.
And and then the house called them and said, we have an alien, something crashed in our yard. And they were like...
He was like 8 feet.
You're scaring me because we just saw something fly out. You're right.
You know that family disappeared? You can't find them. Like, they don't live in that house anymore. They're gone.
See? All right, so funny shit is that apparently then there was another story, a backstory about how there's this whole, like, Men in Black. It exists. Like,
that's a fact, yeah.
Right? They come in, they pick up, white van, skeet off. So my thing is, now being in Arizona, right? I said, yo, if an alien appeared in my backyard, I gotta leave. I'm never going back to that house.
They gave that family a bag to shut up and not say nothing because that kid made one Instagram post and it went viral, like completely viral. He was telling the story about the being and everything. And then it's hard to find that video now, actually, when you look it up.
But it's not on Instagram.
His Instagram is gone. He's like... MIA, the whole family. It's crazy. And people just stop talking about it.
Honestly speaking, Eddie, if a UFO...
Unless it's just like a big hoax, but it can't be because it involved the police.
If a UFO or an alien crashed in your yard, I wouldn't even say anything. Just do what the Bronx people do. Just keep walking, dude.
I guess, but I'm moving, bro. My thing is now they know where I live. That's how I see it. Like, you come into my house, you know my address. I gotta go. That cannot be another spot to crash at. I'm out.
Yeah. You notice how all the crashes and stuff always happen in like desert areas, or like they have this fear.
It's the place where you're least likely to get caught.
This fear now that everyone's talking about, like I'm just sure you see it.
Although there is some crazy wild thing, it's a story about there's a documentary on Netflix about an alien abduction that happened in Brooklyn. And there was a bunch of witnesses that saw this woman.
Is this in the 70s one?
I think so. Where they saw her floating outside
cops
of
actually
the projects.
saw that on the Brooklyn Bridge. This was in Manhattan, I believe. She got abducted from her building.
Crazy.
And the documentary...
so much evidence.
Yes, there was a lot of people. And then the guy that started the filming process and the interview process, his wife was trying to actually debunk everything because she was jealous of him and her having... a thing.
What?
Yeah. So this guy interviewed this woman because her story was crazy. They weren't together, but the guy that was the woman that he had, his wife was working with him to do this documentation of UFO and extraterrestrial things. I think him and the girl that got abducted started having like a thing and working together a lot. So his ex-wife, they distanced one another, they divorced or whatever. Because I guess not that she was bitter, but she tried to disprove that her story was bullshit. Like, you never got abducted, that this was all a story. Because if you look at her on camera in this documentary, she looks like she's cracked out. Like, she's been through it. Not in a good way, not with just aging. She's like probably did drugs. Her kid was involved in a lot of the stories. The kid looks a little like he's out there. You know what I mean? Like, maybe he was neglected or put through too much stuff. Basically, at the end of the documentary, the girl that got divorced from the person that was leading this investigation into UFOs and the woman that got abducted, because they ended up having a thing, there was too much evidence for her to say that she was full of shit.
It's called the Manhattan Alien Abduction.
Yeah.
I don't think I saw that.
I watched it. I was in and out.
It came out in 2024.
Last year. Yeah, I watched it.
And so the alleged abduction was November 30th, 1989.
There was a lot of people.
Which one was the one?
They took her out of the 12th floor and people saw it all over the projects. That they took her out of the 12th, and everyone was watching from the ground.
Dumb funny that you say it was in the projects and you said she was cracked out. I'm pretty sure she was cracked out. So yeah, it's even more fitting
if the shoe fits. You know?
Yo, dude,
what was the one with the station wagon? And it was a family.
Station wagon and a family.
It was.
This sounds like a Mothman thing.
Nah. Damn.
Because it was in a station wagon. They ran away from the Mothman.
I can't remember it, but I saw it. It was a documentary.
About Betty and Barney White, are you? The interracial couple that were abducted and very famous, Betty and Barney White.
Where was it? Where did it take place?
Oh, I want to say Colorado. I could be wrong. Look up Betty and Barney White. But they had this alien experience, whether they were abducted from their home or from their car. Yeah, and they were no one believed them because they were interracial, and at the time that was frowned upon. So they were thinking they were trying to get attention, and no one really wanted to take them serious until they started going into like hypnosis and going to psychologists, and their polygraph tests were coming back that they were telling the truth. Their hypnosis sessions were coming back accurate. They kept going through the same hypnosis sessions.
New Hampshire.
They were telling
1961,
telling the same story over and over again, that there was too much evidence to say that they were both collectively making it up. And the main reason they didn't believe them is because in that time period, racism was still a thing. They were an interracial married couple, so they weren't taking them serious until they started going into hypnosis, and the hypnosis person actually recorded one of their sessions, and it was horrifying.
She there's some new evidence that I saw on like a viral TikTok where she drew some kind of dots and lines connecting all these dots, and she was like, I saw this when I was abducted. And for years they didn't think it was anything until more recently astronomers had figured out that this is a fairly new recent star system that they discovered that's like way beyond what we can see. Or some shit like that.
I love when you have someone that's like somewhat scared of this stuff. Like for me and Joey, this is normal.
How would she know it?
Right.
But they know it's like, so they did the overlay.
Listen, I'm in that TikTok room that and she talks about that, and somebody mentions that, I'm walking out.
Oh man,
I love Joey.
She's too close to this.
Joey and me, we talk about this stuff every week. Doesn't bother us, But you have Eddie here, and he's like, nope, not for me.
Nah, man. I give you a little. We're talking about superstition, but I give a little ghost story. So I don't know if you remember what used to be known as where Planet Fitness in Yonkers Avenue, 320 Yonkers Avenue.
Okay, I know that area.
On the curve, gas station.
Oh yeah, I know exactly where that is.
So apparently back in the day, it was a steakhouse and it was a hockey rink.
Is this what burned down? This is the one that burned down?
Yes, but then it became something else. Mm-hmm. And when it became something else, and I don't know what came first, it was the hockey rink or the restaurant.
The chicken.
One of them. The embryo. At this time when I was working there, it was called The Haunt, and it was kind of like, to kind of give that world a little love. And then it became Westchester Sports Bar and Grill. At this time I was working there, and they would tell us about stories. So two things happened. One, the owner one time, he's playing around in the dishwashing area, which is not the kitchen. And nobody believes him. And he's like, if you're real, show me a sign. Lights go off. Right? There's his story.
You got to leave after that.
But I'm not sure, right?
You can't stay.
One other time.
Lights turn off after you talk to a ghost.
Yeah, I'm good. So now, I'm working there at the time. So another situation happened where apparently there's a girl in the dishwashing area who's a ghost, whatever. And somebody said they saw her on the window. And I remember I walked out. I was like, I'm not playing these games with y'all. Now
he's telling us a story about how he quit his job.
Pretty much. So now fast forward, there's a story about, so there's three sections. There's a restaurant side, there's a club side, and then there's a VIP. And there were stories about how there were ghosts in every location based on mafia, whatever, back in the day, yada yada, right? There was a story about on the club side that there was a man with a red hat that he would pace back and forth. I'm fucking getting goosebumps. I hate this shit. He walked back and forth at the bar, right? And I just try not to believe, right? Like whatever. One day I'm there with my nephew. We got a load in of liquor, right? Delivery. I have my back to that bar, which is probably a good 120 feet. My nephew, as he's moving a box, He goes, Theo, I thought you said we were alone today. All I did was stand up and I look at him. I said, what do you see? He said, Theo, there's a man with a red hat pacing the bar back and forth. When I tell you I left, bro, everything there. I walked out. I did not come back until we opened 8 hours later.
Good time, man. He was boozing.
Yo, my nephew didn't know that story.
I was just going to ask you, have you heard that story?
He never heard that story, and that's why I panicked, because I'm like, nope, I'm out. I didn't see nothing. Yeah. But when a 12-year-old. No, I don't. That's why
they say this. The kids can see things, man. They're more susceptible. Even 12 years old. I mean, it's a little old for the.
That's what I thought too.
But no, they see things, man. There's stuff in the world.
See beyond the veil.
Beyond the veil. Listen with Joanne de Jesus. Listen, man.
Joanne sees things for sure.
Yeah,
man.
I'm telling you, dude. That woman has made me a believer in psychics, and she's said things, predicted things with me, and it is fucking coming true, spot on, still to this day. So wild stuff. There's so much in the world, man, that we don't know about. We're trying to prove. We're trying to get a grasp on if there's such thing as an afterlife. They just found that you see the report the other day from multiple outlets that there's a light that we have that we emit, and that when we die, the light disappears. It goes, it's the energy, right? Mm-hmm. That just came out on a whole bunch of science pages and things like that. And then there's the story with Jeremy Renner. We were talking about it last episode, where he had a near-death experience, and he was like, he didn't want to come back. Like he didn't feel like he was seeing the light from sleeping, like he was seeing it from somewhere else. And when he got into that accident with the snowplow, that he was dead.
Yeah, he actually died.
He died. And he came back, and he didn't want to come back, and he made the road to the recovery. Now he tells his near-death experience. So there's so much coming out that you can kind of get a grasp that something happens beyond. That in this world there are things that no one knows, or we think we know, but we don't know. We don't know what Superstition Mountain holds inside the trails that
it's the curiosity, man.
Well, that's what it is. Is you want that curiosity. That's what makes the paranormal so fascinating.
Yeah, but so going to that curiosity part, right? Do you feel if you see an alien 50 feet away from you, are you curious to learn more from it?
No, I'm good. I just know that you exist now, and I'm okay. Like, as long as I know, you know what I mean? If the government came to me and the president was like, hey, I'm going to let you in a little secret, and just told me,
I'm going to let you in a little secret.
I don't need to go to Area 51. I don't need to see it.
I made friends with the greatest gray alien ever.
You could have lunch with them.
We
all
agreed
day.
to put tariffs on Mars, and he agreed to give me a Diet Coke forever.
Take it. Deal.
Aliens are real. Best aliens ever.
Yeah, I'm the same though. For me, it's like I'm being Puerto Rican naturally and from the Bronx. I'm curious as shit. I want to know everything. I'm looking out my window when I hear a crash or a fight. But alien, because I don't understand it, I don't want to know anymore.
You missed the drones. We had drones all.
Oh, I have seen that.
I don't think some of them were not drones though. Some of them were something crazy that I had never seen before.
Dude, Joey in my backyard. Was calling me every night.
No way.
Like, look out the window.
They were everywhere.
There's a police helicopter. Like, dude, it was wild. I was like looking.
There was literally a chopper in my backyard. I could take a baseball, and this is how low it was, and just chuck it at the chopper and hit it.
What?
That's how low it was. It was so low, it was blowing things off my balcony.
You should have threw the curveball and made it land. like it's coming at me. Like what I did at Pelham Bay Park. Just make it land, thinking it's gonna come at it.
Nah.
Yeah, no. There was the drone. The drone experience was crazy, man. There was people seeing drones. It started down in Jersey, and then in New York they were happening, and people were like, and he was calling me for like 3 days straight. He's like, yo, they're outside. Then he told me like there's a helicopter, and then I heard helicopters flying over my house towards the water where he's at. I was like, this is crazy. For like a little hot minute, it was like,
and I don't think they just would come out and waste the resources like NYPD resources and gas like that if it wasn't, they knew that there was something in the air, right? And I watched this drone or whatever it was bright as hell. It booked it on this chopper. The chopper was just watching it in my backyard for a little bit. I see the chopper, it's right above me, and then this little light of a drone or whatever it was, and then in a second it was just like pew,
gone.
gone.
Nope.
And I mean, not like so fast where you can, but I mean like 3-4 football fields lengths in like 2-3 seconds. Just gone. And then the chopper just takes off after it.
Nah, that's another
but I live near the water. So like right there on Locust Point at the time I was living there, and it just went right towards the water and out. Pretty sick.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
I tell you right now, man. Like I said, there's the beauty of the paranormal is that it's so vast. You have UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, and there's so many places in the world with these lores. You know, from Superstition Mountains to Stonehenge to Easter Island to even stories in the Great Wall of China, the Mayan temples, the Appalachian Mountains that are like, you know, they say if you hear something, just don't even look out the window. Don't go into the forest.
I won't.
No problem. I have a request from someone very special that really wants us to talk about the Appalachian Mountains. So we gotta touch on that. We might have them come on board for that one. But there's so many places in the United States, around the world, that have these tales. And I believe something's going on in Superstition Mountain because I believe the Native Americans were here and they were dealing with things that we didn't know about. And they had this very special piece about them. They did what they had to do, and they knew not to do certain things, not fuck with it. And then when they give you a warning, you should heed that warning.
Oh, I'm lying. So I did ask somebody at the venue if they heard anything before, and they just said they downplayed it and they said there have been stories, but she kind of just like shrugged her shoulder, like whatever. She was an employee at the golf club.
A lot of bars have like these haunted. I'm trying to get to Billy and Pete's in Larchmont. They responded back to an Instagram post. I'm like, hey, we'll come check you guys out. I haven't heard from them, so I'm just gonna walk in one day on one of their psychic nights and be like, hey, I'm a weirdo. I have a paranormal podcast. You know, let's we do investigations. We heard you have some haunt. They had an interview with one of their bartenders at the bar, and she was telling some ghost stories to somebody. So, you know, I actually might make a reel of this and just tag them. Like, I'm all about it, man. We'll come check you guys out. We'll stay overnight. We'll put cameras on the bar.
It's in the bar they have them?
It's in the bar. I've looked it up. It's not a regular bar. Like, you think bar and you walk. It's like a house. Okay. Like either a revolutionary or colonial house. It looks old. So there's history there. I haven't looked up the history yet, but you could tell by looking at the house where the bar and the restaurant is.
Yeah, there's people just like, get out of my house.
A lot of grandmas died in there.
Something in there that's causing the paranormal activity. And I'm all about going and taking the group there and spending the night. And maybe a free drink on the arm.
Just for the record, I'm not part of this group.
Well, Eddie, I want to thank you for coming on, man. You finally got this done. You came on. Sir, it was fun, man. That freaking Spanish accent, man. Whew.
Spanish radio.
You just made me Biaco, man.
Hey, yo. Google that one. Google translate that.
And Joe, you always do a good job, you know, man?
You know?
And if you want to hear, you want to make your own little red hat ghost wearing stories, you know how you do that? You want to make your own stories? You go to Spotify for Creators. Spotify for Creators is the app that allows you to get your very own podcast idea out there. So if you have a phone, tablet, or computer, head over to Spotify for Creators to get started. Eddie,
let's go.
DJ Ves
signing out.
You ready for an adventure? You want to come on a paranormal haunt?
Is this your podcast debut?
No.
Okay.
He's been on other podcasts, good ones too. I used to watch it. What happened with that? Yeah. You don't do it?
It slowed down. We went different directions.
Yeah, I liked it, man. It was funny.
It was funny.
I enjoyed it. I got a good laugh at it. You know what? When my friends do podcasts, I always like. Before I had this, I would listen to Fran's podcast. I was listening to you, and
podcast.
His podcast was great. Canceled.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Too political.
Oh, makes sense.
Yeah. But those days are over apparently. But anyways, I always give my friends support and love, and I you coming on, bro.
Appreciate you.
I appreciate that. And it was fun, man. You got you don't like the ghost stuff, but you had a ghost story, man. It was cool. Joey, it's always good to see your pretty face.
Listen. Pause.
Can you?
No Diddy.
No Diddy.
No Diddy. Oh, Diddy's so fucked.
Yeah.
He's so fucked. Like. He needs one of the 7,000 bottles of baby lotion.
to escape.
He needs one bottle.
You slip right through those bar cells.
He needs one bottle and he's out of there.
He likes it so much he'll come right back in.
Yeah, dude. We had to talk about that, but man, it was a good episode. It was fun. We talked that. I love Superstition Mountains. We touched on it. It was really, that's a really interesting. Go read on that place, man. There's more stories. There's so much more. And I'm gonna try to pull up some stuff during the YouTube video that I could pop up and get that guy's face and name on there. And
there's a time slippage story, like time travel. We didn't touch on it, but
I could imagine, because there's energy forces there that are just crazy. But let me tell you something. Superstition Mountains is the crazy place, and if you want to do more research, or you want us to post more and talk about it more, of course, swab_podcast is the Instagram page. Listen to us wherever you get your podcast from, wherever you're listening to now. And DJ Ves, I'm going to pull up your information. Give some information so people can book you in Arizona and New York.
DJ Ves NYC. I do travel to both. To New York now. I'm actually in town for a few gigs, so...
Give them your outlets so they can. I'll pull it up on the screen.
IG DJ Ves NYC.
I'm gonna pull that up for you, for everybody listening. So if they're interested in hearing your Latino voice, you could do.
Papi.
Yeah. Can give us a little before we leave? Give us a little now they're newly introduced Mr. and Mrs. Can you do that?
So funny shit is I hate to say it in Spanish.
Really?
Yeah.
But can you just give it to us in English?
In English?
English. I will hear the voice. I want to hear the voice.
Let's see. So if I'm introducing you guys as a lovely couple.
Yes.
I'm going to say, since you're keeping your last names.
Yeah.
I'll say something like, all right, ladies and gentlemen, please. Actually, I don't say ladies and gentlemen anymore. I stopped that. So I say family and friends. If you can please stand up if you're able to, right? Because it's old people, so you don't want to offend them. And I'm going to say, please put your hands together. Make some noise for the newlyweds, Billy and Joey.
Bam, that's solid.
Yeah, I like that. Listen, can you please do it in Spanish now?
I'll write this shit down. Ahora introduciendo a William.
William. Oh man, it reminds me of back in the day when I dated a lot of Spanish guys. Billy.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Yeah, William. William, where are you, papi?
Billy's a little Spanish somewhere, man. I swear to God.
Yeah.
He's got that epigenetic memory in him.
That's a whole nother episode.
All the Spanish girls, they like, Billy, dame lo cuarto.
For those that don't know, that means give me your money.
Dame lo cuarto, papi.
Not even bedroom. Because cuarto is both. It could be room or money.
Oh, it wasn't the room.
Yeah, she had the room.
It wasn't the room. Anyways, that's been another episode of the Say What Again Billy podcast with special guest DJ Ves.
Peace.
All right.